The hardest part in a friendship isn't when someone openly rejects you. It's when they happily take all your care and attention. They accept your effort, but they never match its depth. The relationship feels warm on the surface, but your chest grows cold. You wonder if you are carrying the connection all by yourself. You are terrified of what might happen if you finally let go. One of the most disorienting truths about human connection is how poorly we judge it. We are terrible at guessing if our friendships are equally felt. We operate under a simple assumption. If we consider someone a close friend, we think they automatically feel the same way about us. But studies on adult social networks show something very different. Researchers study something called non-reciprocal friendships. This means the connection only flows one way. People expect nearly all their friends to feel exactly the same way in return. In reality, only about half of those bonds are actually mutual. Feeling intensely close to someone does not mean they feel close to you. Your mind just plays a quiet trick on you. It translates your thought of how much you care into a comforting belief. It makes you assume you care about each other equally. You end up projecting your own emotional intensity onto the other person. You assume the warmth you constantly create is shared between you both. This illusion of symmetry usually starts long before you notice the imbalance. We assume friendship is mutual by its very definition. Because of that, you do not constantly check if the other person is investing equally. Instead, you judge the friendship through your own actions. You would drop everything to help them in a crisis. Naturally, you assume they would do the exact same thing for you. Admitting you are in such a friendship can deeply threaten how you see yourself. This makes the painful imbalance incredibly hard to accept. The friendship feels mutual because you measure it using your own feelings. You look at a beautiful reflection of your own loyalty. Tragically, you mistake it for theirs. Family ties can stick around simply because of shared history. Sometimes they last just because of formal obligation. Friendships are completely different. They are entirely voluntary. This means they need active maintenance to survive. Since nobody is forced to keep a friendship alive, the connection can slowly fall apart if both people do not try. Yet, in many imbalanced dynamics, one person unconsciously takes on a huge job. You step into the role of the friendship's dedicated emotional manager. You do all the invisible, thankless work. You check in after difficult events. You notice tiny shifts in their mood. You make endless excuses when they disappear for weeks. The relationship is not actually balanced in any real sense. It is just being continuously and desperately balanced by one exhausted person. You might wonder why you keep doing this. Why do you reach out day after day, month after month? The answer is often that giving support actually feels profoundly good. It feels good long before it ever drains you. Helping friends creates a powerful sense of meaning. It makes you feel competent and deeply connected. In psychology, this is known as having a communal orientation. If you have a communal orientation toward relationships, you help because the other person needs it. You do not help just to keep score. You do not expect every single favor to be perfectly repaid. Overgiving often survives for years because of this. Being a highly supportive, dependable friend feels meaningful. It confirms who you want to be. It feels right for a very long time before the deep imbalance starts to actually hurt. The real trouble begins when you operate with this communal mindset, but the other person just gets used to receiving. Over time, social networks naturally develop specific emotional roles. Psychologists describe these roles as support sources and support sinks. A support source is someone who gives widely to many people. A support sink is someone who absorbs support from everywhere, but gives very little back. One friend becomes everyone's reliable emergency contact. Another friend becomes the permanent emergency that everyone else rushes to fix. This dynamic does not always mean the receiver is a bad person. They might simply have greater emotional needs right now. They might have fewer emotional resources to give at that moment. But being the source becomes uniquely exhausting when you realize something painful. You have tirelessly built a robust support system for someone who never built one for you. This painful realization brings us to a concept known as chronic underbenefiting. This happens when you constantly perceive that you give much more emotional support than you get back. Experiencing chronic underbenefiting is strongly linked to poorer psychological well-being. In adult friendships, this enduring one-sided state creates deep anxiety and distress. The truly painful part is the slow dawning recognition. You slowly realize the help only flows in one single direction. Healthy relationships can easily handle short-term imbalances. If someone is sick or going through a major life change, the other person steps up. They do this because There is an underlying trust. They trust that care will move in both directions over time. The deep injury happens when the imbalance becomes permanent. Friendship does not need to be perfectly equal every single day, but it desperately needs to be mutual across time. For some individuals, investing deeply in a one-sided friendship is a hidden strategy. It is an unconscious way to find emotional safety. This brings us to a psychological framework called rejection sensitivity. If you struggle with rejection sensitivity, you are constantly on high alert. You look closely at ambiguous social signals. You anxiously expect rejection at any given moment. A delayed text message feels terrifying. A brief, one-word response feels like solid proof that the friendship is slipping away. To fight this intense fear, you respond by doing more. You check in more often. You offer more help. You try much harder to be useful. You learn to falsely believe that being endlessly helpful makes relationships safer. When distance feels dangerous, your huge effort becomes a desperate way to seek reassurance. You work tirelessly to earn a completely secure place in their unpredictable life. But being useful is not the same thing as mutual emotional investment. A friend might regularly reach out to you because you are a brilliant listener. They might call you because you are exceptionally skilled at solving their complex problems. But being someone's favorite source of support does not automatically make you one of their highest priorities. This harsh reality becomes especially clear when things go well for you. How do they respond to your joy? Healthy friendship means unwavering support during a crisis, but it also requires genuine excitement when you share your successes, your progress, and your good news. A relationship is starkly unbalanced if a friend desperately needs you during every personal disaster, but suddenly disappears entirely when you want to celebrate your own life. They value your utility, but they do not make space for your whole emotional self. When you carry all the emotional weight, you also trap the friendship. You prevent the relationship from ever revealing its true, natural strength. Because you are always the one initiating contact, you never learn what would happen if you stopped. Because you always repair the arguments you never see if they would try. The friendship's apparent stability depends entirely on your continuous, unyielding effort. Pulling back slightly can be absolutely terrifying. It risks revealing a devastating truth. You cannot accurately measure how much someone else is willing to carry a friendship while you are busy carrying all of it for them. If you finally take a step back, will they even notice? Will they reach out to ask what changed? Or will they simply allow the fading connection to quietly dissolve into nothingness? It's important to realize that the friend who seems to care less usually isn't trying to use you. Often, it's just two good people who expect completely different things. You might think friendship means deep emotional support, while they might just see it as being friendly when you happen to run into each other. The real hurt in a one-sided friendship isn't about keeping score or returning favors. It's the quiet, sinking feeling that they don't care about your emotions the way you care about theirs. The joy we get from friendships depends on the deep sense that you are important to your friend. A real connection can't just live in one person's head. It takes two people continually caring for each other to make it last.